right? A lot.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I mean, I think the quality that we used to see when we hired students back in the day and now, and thanks to all of you, actually, it's much higher, right? It's much better on the art side, especially, as well as programming. It's much better on that side. And Hanif, I'll come to you next. Is just the main core topic for today on the gig economy, right? And for everyone else, I think, are you all aware what is a gig economy? Raise your hand if you know what is a gig economy. Okay, great. So nobody knows. So gig economy, if I summarize, it's basically can come under anything that's short term, temporary. It could be freelance. It could be anything. So, and there are a trend that we are seeing from a student point of view also, that they want to do this short term kind of experience level things, either with a studio, Indian or international, or they want to experiment what the industry is about. So my question to you is, like, from a student point of view, do you think the right time to do this kind of freelancing is when they are doing a course, like a degree, maybe in the third year, fourth year, or it doesn't matter? Maybe even after they finish it off, they can still do it just for the experience of it, because they will know how the industry works.
Yeah, I mean, like they were mentioning, the industry is really evolved, right? And everybody wants to make their own game at the minimum cost as well, right? Many of them are working on a shoe-strapped and first game and second game and third game till they get funding and things like that. So many are looking for these gig workers, and we also promote in the way we have structured is also that where we promote a lot of internship or project based or even freelance. It could be, let that be a faculty or let that be a student. We promote that because maybe something very small. You need to pick a lot of life skills as well, right? That's very, very important when you go, just not the technical aspect. Maybe even if nowadays even, I mean, no studio looks for a certificate as such, whether you're a master holder, you're a PhD holder, whether you're as long as you have the skills, you have a good portfolio, they pick you. And if these things can contribute to your portfolio, you're able to get a better job in a settled studio is also much better. See, most of what is required, maybe you could teach, or the learning bit can be done in about a year, in a diploma format as such. But then you go into the industry, try out different. Like we even promote not only just gaming, we should even take up creating videos, animation videos, and things like that. You keep experiencing yourself with multiple projects, and then that's where your maximum pick is going to be, rather than just read something or just watch something. And you nothing like getting a experiential learning, and everything is moving. Even in education, everything is moving from pedagogy to hedagogy. Pedagogy is teacher-led, whereas this hedagogy is more to do with self-paced learning, and the learners is the focus as well. For all this, this gig works, the students does get, many cases I've seen the faculties getting freelance work, which is highly recommended because they need to be connected with the industry, and they would use even the students to do some aspect of it, and that's also again one way promoting this. And I feel it has to be done, and it has to be continued for better development for themselves and even for the studios as well, to try out the first few games as such.
Yeah, perfect. And I think many studios, because as Mayank was saying, we are seeing a shift from that core services to a lot of product-based companies where they're trying to build prototypes and they don't have enough funds to build a prototype. And the easier way is to hire gig workers, right? And if we have a pool of gig workers in India who are skilled either on the programming side, art side, design side, the better for the entire ecosystem. Which brings to us a very interesting point, which I'll come to Rahul for, is again, I know most of you would know it because you follow Rahul and others, is what is game art? What is game design? Are they same? Is game design game art? So Rahul, over to you. Please enlighten us and let us know what it is.
Okay. So anybody here? I'll ask the audience, right? Who knows the difference between game design? Okay, who thinks that game art? Okay, I'll rephrase that. Sorry. Who is confused between game art and game design? Everybody's confused? Okay. So I'll try and break it down really fast. So fundamentally, game development is a field in which people develop games. Right now, there is actually a difference between abroad and in India. So in India, okay, let's talk about abroad first because they started it first. Game development is anybody who is part of the development of a game. Could be a designer, a programmer. I'll explain the roles later. Designer, artist, programmer, tester. Even I would say a product manager. Everybody is a game developer because they are part of a game development studio. They're developing games, right? Within that, there are several disciplines. I will start with designer because I'm a designer. So a designer is the person who fundamentally needs to define what is the game. What is the gameplay? What is the story? What do players do in the game? Do they walk? Do they run? Do they shoot? Do they jump? What are the controls of the game? What is the story of the game? What can the player do? What can the player not do? What is the user interface? How does the player feel? Is the player angry? Is the player sad? Is the player frustrated? And not only that, they manipulate the feeling. Basically, game development is, in a nutshell, you invite people into a universe and you manipulate their feelings to make them angry, sad, happy, whatever, moment to moment. That's essentially what we do. We create a universe. The game designers define that universe. This is what you need to do. This is how things are going to be. This is how the structure of the game world is going to be. Now, game artists create whatever you see. If you're in a game, if you're looking at something, it's created by a game artist, right? The characters, the props, the skybox, the buildings, the plants, not the smoke that can be generated, but basically anything visual you see in a game is created by a game artist. So within the specific context of the game industry, design is different. Now, if you go outside the game industry, ये तो designer है, artist है, character बना रहे हैं, designer, which is very confusing. I know, it's not your fault, right? And also another thing, in India, when they say game developer, it means game programmer. That is another point of confusion.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right. Now let's come to game programming. The game programming, they are the guys who take all the fundas of all the airy-fairy stuff of the game designers and actually build it. They write the code which says, okay, if I'm going to press a button, the space bar, the player is going to jump so high. They implement everything that the designers or the rules that the designers have been created, the gameplay, the functionality is actually created in the game engine by the programmers. So fundamentally, these are the three different roles, and a lot of people don't know this. There's a lot of confusion about this, right? And I think half my content is basically just clarifying all this stuff, which I guess I get asked 100,000 times, and it's okay. I'll answer you. That's why I started my YouTube channel, because people used to ask me. I said, dude, I'm so tired of asking questions. Can you just watch my video, please? Which is basically how I started on YouTube.
Perfect. So, yeah, Hanif.
Just to add, game artist, game designer, game programmer.
Right.
Yes, and thank you, because that leads it to my next question, which might be very useful for everyone. Let's say as a student, right, and they're going to a studio, let's say Search Studio. What should be in the portfolio, right? I'll start with game art first, then programming, and then game design, because sir, everybody is confused. Game designer ka portfolio mein kya hona chahiye, right? So, Hanif, from you.
I'll pass that question because the game art.
So he can answer for studio as well as institute.
So, okay, what happens is many a times when people come and show you their portfolio, it's very aligned to what, just a character there or things like that, right? It could be a 3D game or a 2D game. It could be different genre of game. So what are we looking for, right? Firstly, when a youngster comes to meet you at a studio and says, I'm looking for a job, first thing is, how much does he know of the game life cycle, right? How does an idea become a narrative to a concept to content which goes inside the game, eventually becoming a business which drives retention, which drives engagement, and drives monetization. how is this happening? So does this person understand the whole life cycle of a game? And that's very important, right? As a student, it's good to kind of know the whole area. So that's the first thing we look for. Secondly, what is your area of expertise? And is it just that area of expertise, or do you know your adjacencies of, do I know what the designer has done? Do I know how does it become real in, when a programmer has to kind of take this character and put it in? Is it real? How does your character or your environment show up eventually in the game? What is its role in the game? These are most important things that we look for. The capability of research and how much they would actually delve into deeply to kind of create that content. These are very important, while the second part is creating the content itself. So when you create the content itself, what are the sensibilities that the person would have in terms of colors? As an artist, are the art principles and elements right for you to kind of bring this to life in the game? Where is it going? Is it on a phone, or is it's on a big screen? Is it a console game or a PC game, or is it, everything differs because your lighting, the way you would draw a character or environment is very different from this. So these are things that we will look for. But most importantly, knowledge of the whole life cycle of a game, because that's the key that will make you a better game industry person. It's not about just being a texture artist or an environmental artist or a character artist. It's about knowing the whole thing and knowing your subject really well.
Perfect. Mayank?
So I think from programming side, or rather from more generalistic side, one thing I feel majority people kind of get wrong when they're in their internships, that job search process, is understanding the kind of companies that you want to work with first. People don't often even define this. It's like, oh, today I'm going to sit on LinkedIn for 2 hours. Whatever shows up, I'm just going to randomly hit apply, right? And that takes them in a very wrong trajectory, right? Oh, this company, I was just literally outside the room talking to a student who asked me a question regarding, should I start learning level design, but I'm a programmer and I'm doing multiplayer. I'm like, why do you even want to do level design? Oh, this company I interviewed with actually asked me, can you do level design as well? So now I'm started thinking about, do I do level design? That's just one company, right? And somebody random you don't even know, right? It's like the person did not even remember the name of the company, right? So no offense to the person, but what I'm trying to say is that this happens a lot, right? So people forget that, okay, this is the kind of company that I want to work with. And then you can start thinking about how do you tailor your portfolio to that kind of companies and the kind of process that you want to follow. And this applies to every discipline, right? It doesn't matter what kind of a role. Even if you're going for a community moderator, right? What kind of company do you want to work for? Which will tell you what kind of communities they would have, and so on and so forth, right? So a little bit more specific when it comes to programming. Let's say you have a skill set in Unreal and blueprints only. You have no knowledge of C++. Can you figure out that there are these 20 companies that you could apply to? I would actually start this in the reverse way. Rather than thinking, oh, I need to have this on my portfolio, I would look at what are the companies that I could apply to eventually, maybe 1 year from now, 2 years from now, but at least have that thought process in mind. There would be more companies like that will come up in the next 2 years, but at least have that clarity and say what kind of things are they looking for when people apply to them, and then deconstruct the process from there, right? So like you were saying, like understanding of the full potential pipeline, right? Understanding their own discipline, understanding their adjacent discipline. If I'm a programmer, I'm supposed to talk to a designer. I'm supposed to talk to an artist. So can I show that I took some art samples, whether they are free samples, and actually integrate it in a prototype that I built, right? I can, as a programmer, show a good working prototype of a game with simple boxes and cubes as well, which is typically what happens in the pre-production phase of any game, any prototype, right? But if I can actively integrate art, right, then that shows to the company that I can not just code a game, but I can actually work with the artist to integrate something as well, right? So work backwards from what is it that you need, or which kind of companies you're going for, what kind of projects they're working on, and then think about how you construct your journey of what to throw in on your portfolio. The biggest problem with programmers is they'll have a mix of HTML games, Unity games, and Unreal games, and they'll usually have a Play Store link, right? Or here is my game, go download its exe file from a G drive location and play.
Yeah, yes.
Right? Google Drive. Avoid. Right? When somebody is reviewing your application, they don't have freaking time in the world to download your exe. What if they are on the Mac? Right? They don't have space on their phone to download your APKs. Like, make it really simple for them to quickly check out your project, which is for programmers, GitHub, number one, right? No doubts. Always show your code, right? Your code comes first. Whether it's an Unreal project, whether it's a Unity project, whether it's an HTML5 game, does not matter, right? Show your code and just focus on whatever you have showcased is the best freaking thing. I've seen 5 pages of resumes, but those have absolutely crappy games, right? That tells me that I don't even want to interview this person, right? Show me one game, right? If your one page resume has one game that is well polished, has good technical depth, I'm talking about programmers specifically, right? Has good technical depth, that's all that matters. The engineering manager or hiring manager would probably have time to look at only one project, and based on that project, they're going to form a perception of whether this person is worth considering for an interview round or not, right? For a technical round, because technical rounds take a lot of time, and they usually go for multiple hours as well, right? So showcase one project. If you have multiple projects, you're applying to a company that's doing Unreal, customize your resume. Only throw in the Unreal project. Don't show in 20 other mediocre Unity projects. Those can stay on your website, right? Those can stay on your GitHub profile, but don't put it in your resume. In your resume, highlight your best thing forward and always kind of customize the things that you're doing, right? Customize it to the company that you're applying to. Unity company, show your Unity project. Unreal company, show your Unreal project. C++, you're applying to Rockstar, show your C++ projects, right? Don't focus on making the full GTA.
I totally agree. And one of the things that you mentioned, we have profiles where they'll give 20 links to hyper casual games and all of them look the same. There is no code access. So your first impression, that person could be a good programmer, you don't know, but the first impression that you get is, what is this, right? So very important point that Mayank is mentioning. And Rahul, sir,
Right.
again.
So